Okay, I just have this, I've just a few, or not so many, but just a few rules for the sessions. First off, a disclaimer. At this time, I'm not a direct representative of the Venus Project, but I'm becoming educated so I can have, I don't need to say that, I'm going to be a direct representative maybe a year from now. I'm going through a process. So yeah, that's about it. We don't have to go through the rules. You guys been here. Okay, so did everybody watch the Stockholm lecture? Esther?
Long time ago, yes.
Yeah. Esther, did you watch that before this session?
I only actually got to watch about 10 minutes. I have seen it before, but
Okay.
I'll watch it again after.
Yeah, sure. I remember.
Was you aware, Benjamin?
Sorry?
Was you visiting with lecture with Jacque before?
No, this was like,
Did you attend it?
I just missed it. It was like just when I got started, and then I found that I was like, oh, I just missed it. So unfortunately, I didn't see that one. Yeah, I think I just missed it. But I enjoyed that one. I used to listen to it a lot. I haven't seen it for a long time now before this session. So what these sessions are not a lecture. I don't have anything, it's just for if you have any questions or anything you want to bring up. And Miguel, you had sent me one question just to get us started, and I'm gonna phrase it, and you can correct me if you want to say it in a different way.
Yeah.
But basically what you're asking is, how do we get, let's see here, how would you bridge the differences between nations? Is that basically it?
Yes. And is it not relevant to do it yet today? Or, I mean, why won't we do it right now? Or what's in the way?
Okay, so the why, it's always, resources.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the main problem. You can go to another country and say, I want to bridge the differences, but I have only words for you. And they say,
Okay.
we have a lot of preachers. We don't need one more. So that's your main problem. You have nothing to give them.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the main problem.
Yeah.
Now, if you had a lot of resources, the way I view this project, people always say, why would they listen to you? They're going to be hostile to you. And I always imagine the Red Cross. They go into countries, and usually it's not a problem because they're not there to take anything away from them. They're there to assist people as best as they can. And they have very few accidents. And that's how I view the Venus Project. We go into places when we have the resources, and we say we're here to assist. And they say, why are you doing this? Well, we feel that working together will, this is the way to go. And if you want to participate, share your resources, and we're going to go to the next place and assist them. And hopefully they will share their resources. But we're not here to take from you. So the government won't say, don't come and build schools here. Don't fix the water, don't clean the water. We don't want that. They don't say that. Say, great, get started. Thank you. So that's how you bridge the differences. But you don't sit and just talk with people. That's a very difficult way of approaching it. You have to have something to offer them. And that's when it becomes easier. So we have one more person jumping in here. Let's see here. Hey, Gulan. Hey, can you hear us?
Hi.
Hey, Golan.
Okay, thank you for joining us. Oh, I forgot. Let's do introductions before we start. I already, I'm so used to just starting, and whenever I see people, it's like I've seen you for. It feels like when we have this connection of the same project. So whenever I see a new person, I don't feel the need of present, doing my introduction. I just start, and that's not polite. So let's do short introductions and let's get started. Esther, would you like to give us a short introduction? Tell us about yourself.
Um,
Me?
I'm,
Uh,
Hi, I'm Esther Hayes from Auckland, New Zealand, and I've been following the Venus Project for something like 12 years. And I'm 65 years old, and I have two sons who are aware of the Venus Project. In fact, 12 years ago, they actually bought me a set of tapes for the Venus Project, which I watched, and I've handed them on to someone else. So yeah, that's me.
When you watched it, what got your attention? What did you like about it in the beginning?
Well, actually, in the beginning, what got my attention was Jacque was in New Zealand and he was in Auckland. He was leaving for Christchurch, so I was quite disappointed because he was actually just on TV on the news, and one of my sons said to me, "Oh, Mum, you might be interested in this." And I just, I can't remember Jacques' exact words on what he said in that interview, but I was so inspired by the fact that one person, this is where I've ultimately come to from watching the videos and everything, like one person creating something for the world that would be beneficial. So just the benefit of a resource-based economy without money and having everybody work towards, a sustainable society through the resources is amazing, and it's just something I want, my sons want, and people that I've spoken to a lot of people about it, but I guess there's another way to go about maybe having people understand, not even understand, like I understand the barrier is that we've grown up in our environment, conditioned by our environment, and it's what keeps people stuck, because people don't know that they're actually on automatic pilot most of the time, 99% of the time.
Can I
Yep.
ask you what happened that they, how come, was it your son that said, you're gonna like this?
Yep.
How come he knew that you would like it?
I don't know. I never asked him, actually. Maybe it's just where I was heading. Maybe we did self-development, meaning that I did a course with Landmark Worldwide, where I discovered, what my, got what was getting in the way of my being committed to transforming my way of thinking, so that the things that got in the way were in my view. So they were hidden from my view as a result of, past conversations which are hardwired to our brains.
Mm.
So the hard wiring becomes like fixed, and no matter what anybody says, it's a bit like what I saw at the beginning of that video, no matter what anybody says, we have fixed ideas about like what we believe, and so everything's open to interpretation.
Yeah. Okay, great. I would like, ask your son later, how come you showed me that? Because, yeah, I would like to know until next time, if you want to do that. What was it
Yeah,
in particular that he felt, you're gonna enjoy this? Because he was quite right, because, you stuck with it. So he was on point. Okay, thank you for that.
Oh, look, just quickly, maybe I was complaining about like how the world looked,
Yeah.
and maybe he had a similar thought about that same thing, you know, that the world looks the way it is and it doesn't work, and you know, and maybe I just had a complaint about it until I kind of you know, went into to developing myself in a way that you know, caught my blind spots and allowed me to actually see the present as it is rather than always having the past in the way.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's my thoughts on it, but I'll come back to you next
Yeah.
time.
Is your son still interested? Is he interested in the Venus Project?
They both are. Both my sons. My elder son Patrick, that's who introduced me to Jacque in the first instance. They're just very interesting men, my sons. They're very interesting individuals in that we've all done the self-development program. I didn't actually give them a choice about it, even though we like to give people choices about what they do. They were young, so and impressionable. So not even impressionable. I just said, "You're doing it." So they did this 3-day course, which you know, it's changed our lives as human beings. It's allowed us to actually, you know, it's helped me to mind my own business when they're making their own choices. And maybe I have a question about it, but I don't dictate or try to control the situations anymore, which is what I used to do. I used to want to control everything, fix everything, you know, looking good, or wanting to look good, all that sort of stuff. So that's, you know, really shifted in my life, because I've basically done about 20 years of this education. And my youngest son, who's 32, Isaac, he's done a number of years. He did it when he was 13, so he's 32 now. And Patrick did it when he was 20. So, you know, we're quite an open book when it comes to listening and sharing with people.
Okay, that's great. Okay, thank you for that. Alex, would you like to continue?
Yeah, I'm also from New Zealand. Most of you guys know me. I'm a point of contact for New Zealand. Just finished my orientation process.
Congratulations, Alex.
Oh, thanks. It took a while, and I'm still in education and orientation process, as I think all of us. Yeah, learning about Venus Project and getting our own understanding. What is it about? Actually, I just had an idea when you was talking about how Sun introduced you to Venus Project, and I want to try to understand if, for example, my grandfather will introduce a Venus Project to me. Will I take it? How I will take it, you know? And here in New Zealand, we've got so many like retirement villages where people mostly free. So how we would be interested to watch one of the Venus Project videos in the theaters or what we have cinemas, yeah? And if we will show them Jacques and how old is he when he was doing all of this stuff, we will like accept him like a same age, you know, like people who is older, we usually listen people who is older, you know, I don't know, in my interpretation. And here in New Zealand, if, for example, someone will watch this Jacques lecture, Stockholm lecture, I'm not sure which one would be the best, we can influence, we can share with the children, you know, with all the people can say, look, Venus Project here, I just watched this introduction. Do you want to have a look at that? So children can listen to their parents or something like this kind of idea. I don't know what you guys thinking. Have you ever done before? Maybe I'm not sure. Yeah. So
great idea.
What do you think, Esther? If
Oh,
you will
it's a great
introduce,
idea.
if you will
I love
introduce to your sons back.
I love that idea, because I just thought Landmark has an introduction for people to look at to see if they want to participate in that education. So it's quite valuable. I met a woman yesterday who came to purchase just a handbag that I was selling online, and I shared with her about the Venus Project, and she's very interested, so I sent her the introduction. So I think you're correct in saying that an introduction could possibly make a big difference to what we share. Children are much more open to suggestion than adults are, because we've got so much baggage in the way that we don't even recognize it. So I think that would be one way to give people access to what we're about, but in a kind of in a short version rather than something too long. We want to kind of keep it succinct.
Mm. What did you send to her as an introduction?
I sent her an introduction to Landmark Worldwide. So it's an introductory course to the Landmark Forum. And the Landmark Forum is a 3-day, it's quite intensive, so it's a 3-day course led by a Landmark Forum leader who gives people access to, what they've come in to get out of it. So people sort of, like when I went and did it, I wanted to have a breakthrough with my eldest son, Patrick, because I didn't seem to be able to break that, that there was something wrong with him. So when I did it, I discovered there's nothing wrong with anybody, not even myself. There was just a way that I viewed things. And so the course was about me and the things that were in the way for me. So that was just such a valuable, which is why I took on the Venus Project so easily. It was because I was open to, his suggestions.
Mm. What I meant was I thought you sent about the Venus Project to this person. Did you send any introduction to them?
No, I
okay.
sent them. Yeah, that would be something I would do, but not, I'm listening for what can I contribute to them in this moment. So in that moment, there was, her sharing a little bit about something that was going on in her life with her child. And I offered her something that would give her access to a different way of looking at things. And when people do that, then they're open to something like the Venus Project. So I've got John Tax. Actually, I didn't think to invite him onto this call. He's also a very good, he's a Landmark graduate, and so somebody who's open to, in fact, most people that I've talked to that I know around Landmark have been open to it, but there's something missing in my communication, I believe, that could probably be, I could probably look at that for myself. So maybe I'll get something from this, maybe I'll get something from this call that we're doing that will sort of, trigger a thought where I can maybe expand the way that we're trying to do right now, like what Alex was saying, having an introduction. I hear that as a quite a good way to put, what, for want of a better word, just a good way to put that out there, the Venus Project.
Okay. All right. Let's continue then. Peter, mic, please.
Yes, that's fine. My space bar didn't work this time. Sorry, my name is Peter. I'm a PSE for Australia and help with TVP Support and some other things within TVP. And that's me.
Okay, great. Gulan?
Hi, I'm Golan from Dgania Aleph in Israel, and you know me, but maybe the others not. What you need more in the introduction?
Let's just, if somebody doesn't know what you do for a living, you write?
I am writing books and I had books for children and theories in a lot of topics.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you watch today's video, the lecture?
Not recently.
No.
Sorry,
Okay.
I didn't saw it. The I didn't saw that you put it there
Yeah.
the link, but I saw it before.
It's okay. It's no problem. Just asking.
Yes.
Okay, let's continue. Miguel, you seem very tired. You're a programmer. Don't you work at night? You know, you shouldn't be tired at this time. Turn on your mic.
Okay, now. You hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I get up pretty early, 7 o'clock. But I first became aware of the Venus Project when it was broadcasted in Swedish television. It was this documentary called Future My Love. And a couple of months later, I started looking it up more out of sheer curiosity because I had nothing else to do, I guess. And yeah, so I googled it and started to find out more. And the more I found out, the more interested I became, and started going to Fishman's meetup in Stockholm. Since 8 years ago or something. Read the book The Best That Money Can't Buy 2 times, and the 2 other of the recommended books on the TVP website, and I bought the CD and DVD collection, and I've studied those extensively the last couple of months this summer, and they are a sea of wisdom. They're really, really inspiring.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. Stefan?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
It's okay without the earplugs.
Yeah.
Okay.
We hear you.
I barely hear you.
There, I had to raise my own volume also. Well, hi guys, my name is Stefan. I came in contact with the Venus Project around 2010, actually, when this lecture was. And the funny story about this lecture with Jacque is I think I even saw them. I saw Roxanne kind of helping him go inside to the it's actually a big swimming pool where this is, I think, and I never reflected over it until afterwards when I actually found the lecture online and listened to the whole thing. So yeah, this is a visit back to the one of my first contacts with the Venus Project. So I do love everything he says in here, and it's very insightful, and I really don't understand why they don't teach this in schools, because it would solve a lot of issues in how teachers act and how children act with each other. So that's me. I live in Sweden also, so that's me. Peyman and Miguel, I guess, are in Sweden.
Okay. So were you at the lecture or did you just see him there?
I was actually walking my dog past.
Ah, okay. Okay.
and it's Henriksdal's badet, wasn't it?
Mm,
Yeah. And I was just walking my dog there as I usually did, and I saw them. I was wondering what is this thing, and I so regret that I didn't like just buy some tickets and go in and listen to see what was going on.
yeah.
But I caught up on video anyway later, and I think a couple of like a year later or two maybe I ran into you, Payman, in Stockholm, in
Yeah.
Folkets Hus or whatever it was.
Yeah.
The library. That's what it was.
I wonder how they marketed that in Stockholm, because there was a lot of people,
Oh, it was
and
packed.
it was what? It was?
Packed, full.
Yeah. So I wonder how, how did they market that to get it, to full capacity? Because, the Venus Project, Jacque Fresco, who is that? But it was completely full. I have to ask
Oh,
Roxanne, how did they do that?
they have, I think, an ability, Roxanne and those guys, to pull a crowd. I think because a lot of people have heard of the Venus Project.
Mm,
Millions of people have seen these videos. I've counted on YouTube of different versions of the videos that have been uploaded, and there are several million people that have viewed these videos. So a lot of people are aware. I think a lot of people struggle to take action because there's nothing to grab onto to help with really,
mm,
unless you have so much time that you're willing to go through the process that you're going through, Payman, right? Where you
mm.
do the education 5 hours a week for at least, what is it, a year?
2, 3 years. It depends. It takes time, but
Yeah. So
but
I
that,
mean, I understand they need that quality control of the information and what the goals are. Um, I think they could get a lot more done if there was another mechanism for including more people, like open source does.
yeah,
But well, I guess they'll try this for a while,
yeah.
and if they want to change it, they will.
Well, they have, what I'm doing, that is so you can be a representative. But we have another group that are POCs, which I'm also. And for example, Peter and Alex. And that is, I think, is it 10 weeks or is it 12 weeks, guys?
22 weeks.
It's 22 weeks. It was,
It's a basic.
yeah, 22 weeks. So it's more basic, and then it's just like one lecture and they every week and they discuss it. So it's not as hardcore, as difficult. So there are different versions. They have this lighter version. But the problem is, even though we have that, which is pretty basic, and the people that join, they go through the course, but you can't say after 22 weeks, I'm done, I'm finished, because there is so much more to learn. As we see, for example, me and Peter and a couple of other people, we meet every week, 2 times a week, and we discuss a book, and we go through the old lectures, and we find other things, and we discuss them. There's so much more to learn. um,
Well, it's kind of like in the 1400s, beginning of the Renaissance period, there was a concept that you could learn everything that there was to learn, and I
mm,
think it's quite obvious that that time has passed. Because
yeah,
I mean, whatever you get into, even if it's something like chemistry, right? At a certain point, chemistry becomes physics,
yeah,
and they both become astrophysics, and so on. So I mean, everything is linked together, right?
yeah,
And so there is no limit to how much you can invest in learning everything more, including these concepts, because these are also linked to the scientific decision making process, right?
mm,
Which is a mindset, and it's investing in a process more than a goal. It's not about the goal, it's about adopting a way of thinking and working with it, right?
mhm. Yeah, exactly. So regarding today, is there anything particular you guys want to talk about? Any thoughts you have or any questions? Something that is not clear?
Esther here. I like the idea. I've written down just 3 things to remind me. Obviously, the Best That Money Can't Buy, I read that several times and I passed it on. And then an introduction to the Venus Project, and also teaching the Venus Project in schools. I guess what I want to ask is, as much as I now know about the Venus Project, as much as I love it, and as much as, you know, the person to give people access to the Venus Project, how else are we going to do that? Like, I like that. I just like the idea of something else, because it's obviously, for me, something's missing that, apart from the fact that I may, you know, get people interested in doing the landmark forum, so that they are then they will notice that they have an interpretation about everything, you know, rather than a new view about, you know, how our lives could look. So most people don't have that kind of, that's what I think anyway, is that most people don't have that way of thinking, which is why we're still like in a place where we're working towards creating the existence of the Venus Project. So how else are we, you know, going to do that? I guess I just clicked on the Venus, the introduction, because it's something I can physically send to people and then be able to perhaps answer some of the questions they have, or invite them to, you know, to come on something like this, or create something, or, you know, use like Alex, for instance, because now that he's point of contact for New Zealand, he could support me in, you know, the vision that we have to move forward. So what do you think about that?
So if I would phrase the question, it's what more can we do than just sending out videos? Would you say that's how you want to phrase it?
Yeah, it's just having something else. So I just think that an introduction, I'll send a link to Alex, so that or, you know, to someone, so to Alex probably, regarding the Landmark Forum as an introduction, so that it gives you an idea of what I'm saying, and maybe be able to, you know, we could find a way to, you know, have one that we can send out to people, because that's my next.
Okay, now I understand.
My next thing is I'm going to talk to Alex about that, so that we get an idea that we're, you know, I'm going along the track that the Venus Project is on, and I'm not veering off on my own kind of tangent.
Okay, so I'm gonna try phrasing it again, so we make sure that I'm on point. So you mean that, you know, can we have something that, like a link that explains what this is about? Like, check out this link, and then you get a video and explanation of what the Venus Project is? Was that
I think we need to give people an explanation first, but keep it short, and then give them maybe a link to something, starting off with something. I think people want to hear something, you know, they want a quick fix. So we need to give them something that keeps them interested, which is why I like to offer people like the Landmark Forum, because when people are open to, like, you know, they've got something in the way, then for me, this is the only way to get through it, because any other way is, people are just stuck. Any other way that you offer people to, so we have to, for me, it's getting into, it's like yesterday when this woman was talking about, you know, the issue she was having with her little son. And I just quickly shared with her, how about we meet for a coffee and bring her son along, and would she like to have a look at the Landmark Forum? So I had some sort of conversation like that, and she was open. She was like really happy, and yeah, I'd love to. So I have a few people that have actually done that education through my, you know, giving them value in their life. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all. That's enough.
So what you're doing is, sorry, it's before you present something, you're trying to make space for, let's say, the Venus project. So you're, let's use words, strange words, but you're opening their minds to be able to grasp, for example, the Venus project. So you're saying, look at this, and maybe the Venus project come next. And that's, you know, that's basically what Jacque Fresco did in this lecture. He begins by talking about the problems with language, that, you know, there's huge problems that we're not aware of. He doesn't start by talking about the Venus project. He begins with something else, which becomes clearer to us after many years, that, you know, if you just start talking about the Venus project, there's so many problems associated with it for a person that is not used to that information. So what you're doing is basically what I try to do with people, is that I don't start off with, here's all the solutions to the world's problems. I just take a specific thing and I just talk about that. And later on, the Venus project comes. For example, talking about human nature. You know, most people have such a fixed view of that
Yes.
people are a certain way. So I begin maybe talking about that, and later on
Yes,
I get into the Venus project. And that's basically what
that's
you're
right.
doing. You're saying, go this course, it will help you, you know, open your mind, and maybe later on you can present the Venus project and they're more able to take it in then. So that's
I'd probably start off with, now that you've, you know, shared a little bit about that, I'd start off with my own experience and my own fixed views, so that then they're open to hearing something for themselves about themselves.
Yeah.
So it is about the fixed view, and it is about re-educating themselves. So Jacque talked about that, and that's one of the things that I've done for myself and that my boys have done for themselves, is we're constantly in a flow of being educated through our experiences, and how we take those experiences is what shapes our lives. So good or bad, so to, you know, want of better words, are just a way of life for everybody. So being able to see the fixed views that we have around our experiences is what's going to open people up to the interpretations that they have around their view of life and the way they live.
Yeah.
So yeah, really good. So the fixed view is what people need to understand first and foremost, is that they have that, and there is a course where they can actually, you know, like get access to their blind spots, and then be able to be free to actually see with clarity that the problem isn't out there, it's with ourselves. And that way then you're open to, you know, like I'm open to the Venus project, we become open to other things.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what Jacque does with us. You know, he gives us conflict with the things that we were brought up with. And
Yeah.
if you're a person that just doesn't deny everything he says, but you think about it and you toss it around, then it becomes easier to go to the next step. Now he's talking about, for example, he uses, like, in the future there will be more control of the environment. But if you have a fixed view of control and you say, well, control is always bad, the government shouldn't control my life, in today's society, I would agree with you. But if you change the circumstances, control of your life might be the greatest thing ever. For example, if I'm in an airplane, I have no control. I have given control to somebody else because I rely on their education to perform flying me to this and there.
It's good if the pilot can have control.
Exactly. So I believe in his ability because I have no control in that situation.
You're giving control to a computer, not the pilot.
Yeah.
Most of the way the computer is piloting the aeroplane. So if people afraid from computers, they don't able to fly and they are unaware for all the things that computers doing right now and will do in the future. Autonomic cars and the surgeries that computers doing today even, and people are educated to be afraid from computers and softwares. And, that's even funny to think about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what you have, with your GPS. I haven't had that question for many years now when somebody comes to you and says, do you know this address? It's like, what kind of question is that? Does that even occur nowadays? Use your phone, or here, apparently you don't have your phone, so let me show you on my phone because I have no idea. And that's a way of relying on a computer or a system instead of relying on people. My dad.
Connection.
Sorry.
You have more connection today to people. I will maybe never met you all, and especially you, if not for my computer and the internet.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Stefan, you wanted to say something? I mute you guys when somebody's speaking because I think there comes in noise from the different sounds.
Oh, I was just fumbling with my microphone. Sorry.
That's fine. Did you want to say something? I felt I interrupted you.
I need to run and get my power cord because
okay,
my computer's going to
do that.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
For example, Peter doesn't know anything about Venus project, but he just watched the first video and he reached me as a point of contact and he asking me, oh, Alex, a great idea. How can I help you? And my reply to him would be, okay, Peter, what you can do or what would you love to do towards the Venus project and how you can help? So I don't really know. And I give it like a short list what we need transcribers, so proofreaders, we need lectures, transcribers. It's our priority now for the Venus project. And we also can share awareness around our community. So, and after that, a person doesn't reply anything. What does it mean? How I can continue?
So what I usually do, I used to do that. And I'm trying out a different approach at this time. And my attitude is that when somebody comes after watching one video, I like this kind of personality. I have watched one video, I have a few questions. I think that's an honest approach to something that is totally different. But a person that comes in very excited, I feel like it's going to go like this: up, down, goodbye. Because when a person comes in very excited, to me, they are very subjective, because you can take any topic and make it sound great for 1 hour. You know, whatever you want. We're going to start torturing people. You know, if you spin it in a good way, a 1 hour documentary, you might say, that's great. How can I assist you in torturing people? So when somebody comes in, I have that attitude. I'm like, no, no, no. You know, I recommend that you go watch more videos, because we're maybe, you know, a crazy cult. You know, please watch more things and then get back to me. You know, people that are excited, to me, based on my experience, it's been up, down, and then off. But people that have been having honest questions about this topic, they feel, you know, I don't understand this. What does this mean? How come this is good? Those people usually stay, that have that kind of approach. So I don't give them anything to do. I just ask them, if you really enjoy this, just like becoming a doctor or engineer, you can't just watch one lecture and say, oh, I want to be a doctor, or I want to be an engineer. How can I help? Oh, well, get your ass to school. It's 5 years education before you can even touch a person and say, oh, you need to do this. And you have to have that attitude here, not 5 years, but at least you have to watch 10, 20 hours of material before you say, I want to invest my time in this project. I believe in you. We don't want your belief. We want you to feel that you understand this topic, and therefore you want to assist. But no believers, because belief is very vague. It's a subjective thing. And the more subjective the person is, the more they project into what they think this is. So they don't have a grasp of it. They just take the things they like and they say, this is what it is. And when they realize later that it isn't that, they get into conflict with us, because we're trying to explain to them. They feel it's conflict, and they say, this is shit, you know, and then they just leave. So to me,
you are,
yeah.
so Payman, you are the opposite of a politician.
Yes, exactly. That's you know, we could, you know, Jacque has, you know, he said this many times, you know, if I want, I can speak in a way that I get a million idiots in that think they want this. Just like a religious person. He speaks in a way to maintain his role. You know, it's God's will, instead of saying, you know, shit happens. You know, he's testing you. You know, those kinds of words evolved from people losing, you know, people that came to them. The first priest said, you know, shit happens. The next priest said, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say it's God's will is testing you, you know, struggle it out. And they kept on coming to him. So we're not I don't like that approach. I want people that have at least some sense of what it's about, that ask questions. So,
So you don't
don't
want faith, you want understanding.
exactly. I don't. They say I believe, and I always try to correct them. Don't believe. We're bullshitting you. Find out and then tell us I understand instead. That's what you want. So, and that's what you know. When I went and met Roxanne, and I said, you know, give me your lectures. I'm gonna transcribe them. You know, can you imagine how many people told her, you know, I'm gonna assist you? So she's very careful. She says, okay, here is a short video, you know, see what you can do. And, you know, that's my attitude, you know, because I have met a lot of people that come with great enthusiasm and it, you know, goes down. Hey, Matteo, welcome. Can you hear me, Matteo?
Yeah, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing fine.
Can you give us a short introduction? Tell us about yourself.
Well, I'm Mateo Acosta. I'm from Colombia. I learned about the Venus project like 9 years ago. And now I'm making the POC, the training program.
How's
And
that
yeah,
going?
good. I like it until now. I have met very interesting people and learn more and remember a lot of things also about the Venus project. So it has been good. And yeah, I like music and programming. So yeah.
So, Matteo, we were talking about how do you, you know, when people come and say, oh, I have watched a video, I want to help. What kind of, you know, what are our approaches to that? And I was saying that I don't like people that just watch one video and say, I want to join. Because that is not enough. I feel it's dangerous to watch 1 hour of something and say, I'm here. I'm going to give my life to you. No, no, thank you. Go and watch more videos. And I think Matteo is a great example of the kind of personality I like to meet. So let me just give you a short story about Matteo here. When we had our interview with Matteo for becoming a POC, afterwards, he wanted to continue to talk and ask questions because he's not a believer. He's here to learn. He wants to find out, you know, what is this? But he doesn't come in here and say, you know, I accept everything. No explanations needed. Just give me, you know, what you want me to watch and I'm just going to follow you. And the same way you phrased the education, it's good. It's been good up till now. That's the attitude I like to see, because you might find out later on it isn't that good, and I would like to have an honest discussion with you at that time, where you bring up points and you say this and this isn't working. I don't agree. You have to explain this. So this, Alex, I want you to have good contact with Matteo, and you will see a good example of the kind of personalities that usually stay because they're interested in the topic more than saving the world. People that want to save the world usually come and go very fast. But people that come here because they want to learn, they usually stay because they feel that, oh, there is so much to learn. And they are more intrigued by that. And that is also a problem because, you know, if you have too much learning, then it comes, you know, what is the physical thing you want to do? So we want a combination of that. But if you want people to stay, they have to be interested in learning. So that's the attitude I enjoy. Alex, did that assist you in?
Yeah, it's a very good explanation. And let's imagine that Matteo knows, or he knows already about Venus Project for 9 years, and he studied a lot of, watched a lot of lectures, but he doesn't want to be point of contact. He wants to help somehow. And I was Matteo asking him, how can I help you? So I'm asking him how you can help me, and I just give a list of things we're doing now and update what's going on in Venus Project. But after that, for a while, the person just disappeared. So I never hear about Matteo.
Yeah.
What's happened? How I can follow up, or do I need to follow up, or the person have to return themselves?
I think the person should return, after you give a list. Now, when we join something, as many things, we project, what I want to do. Okay. And that is a problem. Now, if I go to the Red Cross and say, I want to help, and in my head, I'm going to be a doctor, but I'm not educated to be a doctor. And they say, clean the toilets. That's the best thing you can. It's important. We need to have that facility cleaned. It's a part of what we're doing. And I say, fuck that shit. I don't want to do that. I want to do something important. Now, that's a problem, because when they say, I want to help, it isn't usually, I want to help. I want to help the way I want to do it. And if they can help in a way they want to do it, great. But it's usually, we have things we need to be fixed. Can you assist with those things? That's what we need. It's like going to an organization, say, I want to apply for a job here, but I want to do what I want to do. They say, no, thank you. These are the jobs we have. And it's the same here. We have particular things we need you to do if you want to assist. And if you can't do those things, we don't have maybe, space for you. Can you give us an example of something you feel should be done? And they say, yes. Now, here's the problem. Are you going to take that on? We don't need suggestions all the time. We need people that take their suggestions and do something with them. I have had a million people tell me what we need to do. And I try to, in a nice way, say, can you do that? Because I can't. I'm not a programmer, for example. Can you do that? Our programmers, they're doing other things. So try to direct it a little bit back to them when they give suggestions. And, can you assist us? And if it's a great suggestion, well, great. Take it if you feel, take it forward. That's the same attitude I have. For example, Peter is left here, but when he became a POC, or he has he's like an organizer for the POCs, but he didn't mention it to anybody. He just did it. Suddenly he had that role. And that's the kind of attitude I like, If you're going to do something, take it on and do it. Don't put it on everybody else.
It's very open source thinking, I think.
Yeah, that's what we need at this time.
It kind of works that way.
Yeah.
So in that vein, where's the list of tasks that need to be done?
I wish Peter was here, because we have a site. It's called Trello, and on that site there's different groups. There's so many different groups, but I have very little contact with that. Oh, Peter left. So unfortunately, if you're interested, for example, Peter,
let me know. I have some time
okay.
The next couple of months to invest.
Let me just write to Peter. Do you have Peter as your contact?
In what? In Facebook?
On Facebook, yeah.
Let me look. I don't always pay attention to who I accept. How do I even look for that?
I think I can send you.
There we go.
There is the official site of the project. You can see there what we need.
Yeah, but there are
that's kind of high level though.
Yeah, those are high level. There are, in this for example, Peter would be able to put you in the right group based on what you can assist with.
'Cause that's right. A lot of those high level things, it's like you were saying before, Payman. Hey, I'm all in. I want to save the world. Okay, saving the world takes a couple of lifetimes.
Yeah.
You're not going to see the result.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like building a cathedral in the Middle Ages. You had to trust that your children and grandchildren were going to complete the project, right?
Yeah. I put his name there. I'll see if you can find him on Facebook.
Oh, in the chat?
Yeah, in the chat. So Matteo, did you watch today's lecture? Did you have opportunity to watch it?
No, I didn't, but I didn't even see what was the video.
It was the lecture in Stockholm.
Oh, I have seen it. It's the one that he talks about religion and about
Language. It talks
okay,
about,
yeah, I'm familiar with the topic.
Yeah.
I don't remember quite well exactly the points, but yes. Sorry.
In your POC course, has there been anything that has been brought up that you would like to have clarified, or do you have anything else you would like to ask? You don't have to talk about today's video.
About the POC,
Something in the lectures, in the education.
what's come out to my mind, it's not the most relevant thing to me, but was about the definition of total enclosure systems. So
Okay.
we were talking about, for example, that ocean cruise or a space station are examples of total enclosure systems. But my question is like, how do you define when a system that provides you with health, with food, etc., becomes becomes a total enclosure system? How much time approximately has to pass in order, and yeah, what is the frame of the definition, you know, the boundaries of the definition?
Okay. So there isn't, this is it for a total enclosure. Just to define it, is that how can you get people so they stay put, so they don't want to leave the city they're in? Because if you have, the more movement you have, the more, you have to spend energy upon that. But if you had a city where people, if you would say to them, let's travel, and the person says, why travel? Say, let's go and do other things. What other things? Because I have everything here, everything I need for the work I'm doing and the hobbies I have, for example. So what you want, we want to build cities that are total enclosure. That means that everything you want, you have access to. You don't have to go to another city to go swimming, to have, skiing, if that's what you enjoy. It is a part of the city. And what people want depends on the values they have at that time. So it is constantly changing. But their goal of the city is to get you to stay put. Not because it is better for society, but it's more that how can I make you as comfortable as possible? So you stay here and we preserve energy, and then we can take that energy and put it into the city instead. So you have more of what you want. You have better things than what you want, or than you had. So it isn't fixed. It's just a goal that is constantly changing to maintain people in the cities. And the more you evolve that, for example, with virtual reality, when it becomes as so real that you can't, I can't see the difference. Am I in or am I out? I don't know.
Star
And
Trek holodeck.
yeah, exactly. So the more you can have those things, how much energy you know, you don't have to waste. But always remember that the difference is in a resource-based economy, whatever is saved, it isn't like they're making it cheap for you. It is put in somewhere else to make something else better. So whatever you preserve, it gets back to you in a different way.
Okay.
One reason today we might travel to you, Matteo, where you are living, is the weather. You know, you might want the climate, the weather, the plants, the ocean, that kind of stuff. Well, if you can replicate that in our dark and cold country during the winter, I suppose you'd have less of an incentive then to endure the long trip.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Now, all these feelings we have about travel, that is what you have been brought up with. I remember there was a painter that started drawing landscape. Well, at that time, landscape was just the normal thing. It is later when you look at it, you appreciate it because let's say you have been brought up in cities and you have been brought up to feel that landscapes are beautiful. But if you just live there, that's what you see every day. It's nothing of big significance. So when for me, traveling, it's for my kids. I don't personally feel a need to go anywhere or to see anything particular to feel at ease with myself, to say, oh my God, now I can relax. Why do you travel? I need to relax. Why are you not relaxed at home? What are you looking for? Is that clear? For most people, it isn't. They just want to get away from life for 2 weeks. Why do you want to get away from life? That's the problem. Fix that. And if you're going somewhere, have a real reason. I want to get educated. I want to see the pyramids. I want to see how they're shaped. How did they construct that? I want to get educated about that. Have a reason. But, to just travel, to relax, that's a problem to me.
Maybe they need more imagination, so
Yeah.
they will be more relaxed, and they could see things more than even what what there is, you know.
More experiences.
Yes.
Yeah. If they have that, for example, if you're going to write books and you have a goal in mind, I want to travel so I have more experiences to write books, that is a reason to do it. But the problem I have with it is my friends or family or co-workers that say, I need to travel to relax. Well, why aren't you relaxed at home? That's what needs fixing.
I see what you're saying, Payman.
It's like
I think I would go to Israel because I wanted to experience that culture perhaps and a different views. It's a different experience. Yeah, so that would be more my desire to learn about that locale. I went to Venice because I'm interested in the architecture there, and the glasswork, and the food in northern Italy. But I like you say, Payman, I don't like the reason to go away. I would rather go to something.
Yeah.
When you are coming to Israel, tell me.
I will.
In 2009, I went to relax in Stockholm for New Year, and I don't remember anything.
I'm afraid that's the Swedish youth definition of having a lot of fun. If you don't remember anything, you had a lot of fun.
I remember with buckets for umbrellas. This is what I remember. But
Maybe a lot of drinks.
Yeah.
There
Yeah,
is, I
it
think there are many
reminds
good
me.
reasons. Sorry, go ahead.
It reminds me what you just said, Pejman, about what Jack said about meditation. That a lot of people try to get away of their problems, or in quotes fix them, by meditating, by relaxing and all those things. But when they finish and they, let's say, come back to reality or whatever you want to call it, they still have the problems, the issues that we haven't been trained in order to solve our problems, which are, for example, right now I am with a personal problem and has like suck a lot of my energy, uh, just thinking about it, and because I don't have like the tools, uh, like I try to by different methods, but I'm not that successful. So yeah, and now I think I can understand a little better why people sometimes um, seems to occupied with their personal things and not too much about the global issues, etc. Because those personal things are so important to them, uh, that they don't have almost any more time in order to fix them. And the way that society tells everyone or many people to fix problems is by, I don't know, going to the cinema or going to a bar and have a few drinks or whatever. So yeah, so personal problems still remain, and never like allow people to sometimes to focus in other things,
The bigger picture. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So when you have a problem, you need a person that is helping you is trying to solve your problem by giving you a tool, just like if you would be working on a car. It's the same with people. If you just meditate, it is like taking medication or whatever. The thing that got you into the problem isn't solved. What this society does, it is that I have a problem. Instead of solving it, they just try to patch you up here. And then you still have the pressure coming from your problem. A real solution is that, oh, I used to have that problem. I don't. For example, a person that is alcoholic but has quit drinking, to me, when they stop talking about, oh, I used to drink, when they don't need to mention that anymore, that's when they have gone past it. But when they always have to have their coin that says, I have been sober for 2 years, 10 years, 15 years, it is nothing, because they haven't solved it. It's like me, if I would come to you and say, I have a coin, I haven't been playing with toys for 8 years. Now, would you say I don't have a problem? When I still have to mention it, it's still bothering me. I was a child, I stopped playing, I decided to grow up, and here's my coin to define me. So when we grow up and we solve it, we don't need to reflect on it. We have gone past it. But there is no money in that. If I have, AA for alcoholics, I need them to come back. It's designed that way. Come back. Let's discuss it. Let's make sure that you don't have problems. A sane society would say, how can I get this person to never come here again? A sick person, how can I make sure that they never come back to me again? If they have a disease, if they have a cancer or something, that's what you want to work on. How can I make you so I never see you again? But in today's society, I need you to come back. A shrinks doesn't, if you go to a shrink, they don't say, I need 10 hours and then we're finished. You never have to see me again. They say, each week, 1 hour, come, let's talk. But when you go to surgery, they say, Monday, we're going to fix your leg, 8 hours. After that, you're going to come back, we're going to check it. They have a way of getting you out, which is better. But a shrink says, come each week, 1 hour. Why 1 hour? Why not 5 minutes? Why not a 10-hour session on one day? Why is it 1 hour? Because they don't have a fixed system on how to solve that problem. They just say, come here and sit and talk, or whatever approach they have.
Well, what's
That's
a shrink?
interesting.
A shrink, a psychologist.
Okay.
And
Well, they
also,
do, what you're looking for is the cure instead of the treatment, right?
Yeah, that's what.
So yeah, so that's a pretty clear, of course. And I think there are a couple of reasons why treatments are in place instead of cures. The number one leading cause is we simply don't know how to cure certain things. And the secondary reason, of course, is, well, there is an incentive structure behind it, right? Like psychology is sort of a pseudoscience as far as I can understand it. I've read up on it a little bit. And, we're not really good at that. We're not as good at psychology as we are at rocket technology, obviously.
It's not entirely true, because the real sickness here is money. There is a lot of things that a shrink or psychiatrist can fix, but it doesn't want to, because as you said, it's not bring money to fix people's problem.
Well, I think there
you are
are
losing from it.
I think the psychologists can be very helpful. I do. I know several people that have gotten a lot of help. But like you said, Payman, we're not talking about a cure. We're talking about alleviating a problem or learning to live with the problem, right?
Yeah. I remember I saw a psychologist that came to my work, and he was holding a lecture. And I don't know if you heard about him, Stefan, but he's called the stress doctor. He's been on television here in Sweden at least a few times. And this person was very charismatic. For me, it was a great presentation about his work. And,
TED Talk.
Have you seen it on TED Talk? Yeah, it's very funny.
It's like a TED Talk.
Yeah, it was great. It was very funny. It was great. But let's say he's the best psychologist in the world, and you just need 1 hour with this person, and he's going to fix you. No more stress. Somehow he's going to fix you. If he really was interested in helping people, he would not waste his time with individual people, because he would look at it and say, my schedule is fully booked for 10 years, 8 hours a day, but there's thousands of people that need help. I can't help them this way. If I really want to help people, I have to change what brings them in here. That's the kind of attitude you learn from the Venus Project, is not to look at the problem, but what generates it. try to go back and solve it before people get problems. So that's what a psychologist to me wouldn't work with individuals. He would be in places talking about there's a problem in society. We need to fix these problems in our society because these things generate problems in people. Same with a doctor. You know, a doctor wouldn't be in a hospital. He would be advocating other things, but not directly working with the individual if he or she wants to solve the problem so they don't come to the hospital.
It's interesting you mentioned that, Payman, because it reminds me of Jacque's a little video he had about that I saw somebody posted recently regarding the shooting of bin Laden, right?
Yeah.
And he said, well, I think it's pointless, because they were asking him about, well, what do you think about this? Isn't it great we caught a terrorist? And he said, no, I think it's pointless, because the culture that created him is still there. You haven't done anything with it. So there's going to be thousands of people exactly the same, waiting to take on that role. So you've accomplished precisely zero. Well, maybe some political points in this frame of mind, right?
Yeah. You actually created less because he was the key to, you know, if you want to trace back the problem, that is what you need to look at. You know, how was this person generated? So you have to step back and see, you know, what happened so this person came about. But when you just eliminate him, you know, now you don't have, you know, the object that you needed to begin with to step backwards. But you don't really need him. You just look at the environment that generated that person. So yes,
I think I can see that. I
Yeah.
can see that, and that's a very interesting approach, because that should apply to. I see the same approach coming back again in very many different areas, right? The root cause analysis.
Yeah.
Why did somebody turn out like this? Okay, well, then we need to look at a wide variety of things. You know, what are all the influences that, or all the triggers that push somebody in that direction? What is the cultures, the kind of things that they have to hear? And in terms of that kind of behavior, of course, there's no genetic component, I don't think. But you know, when we're talking about like the previous topic here, addiction. You know, there's a genetic component there. We don't know exactly how it works, right? It could be epigenetic, could be genetic, or a combination of both, you know, because like you see, if you look at all this material that they put out in the Venus Project, you'll see that, yeah, they're, you know, both your environment can influence your genetics, and your genetics can influence your behavior, and but the biggest influencer of how we turn out as people is, of course, the environment we're raised in, including the language that we use. Because languages come with personalities built in, right? I mean, I notice myself when I speak, I'm different when I speak Swedish from when I speak English, or my now very rusty French. You know, I adopt different social styles that come with it. You know, even there, it's evident that just in the language, it influences how you think, because of course the grammatic structure limits how you can express yourself depending on what language you have.
Yeah. I'm just going to give approach to genetics, and I want you to toss it around, because the way we learn to look at genetics, it's like looking at everything else. When we focus on specifics, then it's difficult to see the broad picture. I'm just going to show an example here. Give me 1 second, just to have it in your head when you think about this idea. Okay, let's look here. I'm gonna show you the vid. Give me 1 second. Okay, share screen. Okay, so sound is not important, so let me just show you. Okay, this guy, he's going to put a camera inside of a tire. Okay, and then he's going to drive around with it. Okay, so it's going in, and he's going to go, and let's see here, when he goes driving. Okay, so if you just sit here and say, I'm going to look at this tire and I'm going to try to understand what's happening. You're looking at a specific thing from one place inside of the tire. And somebody says, you know, why does it go up and down? You say, I have no idea, because you can't see the outside of it. You're inside of it, looking in and trying to understand how come it goes up and down. It is when you step back and say, I'm going to look on the outside of the tire, then you see the ground. You say, I'm going to step back further. Now you see the car, you see the environment. And the more steps you go back, now I see the driver. He's controlling, swerving. So the answer isn't one specific thing to look at, say, there it is. This is what generates that. When you do that, that's the beginning. The more you learn, you step back and you say, aha, this influenced that. You step back. This influenced that and then that. Same with genetics. The more they learn about it, they're going to step back and say, well, if you eat these foods, this will occur with those genetics. Okay, so that's how I would like you to view not just genetics, but all aspects of problems or things, to not focus on specifics. Try to see the context of it. And if it's
Right.
something like that.
Because they're connected, right?
Exactly. That's what one of the great things we learn from Jacque is that don't focus on specifics. It's all connected. People, you know, the universe, the planets, all of that is connected to each other. There isn't one thing that occurs by itself. That is the free will concept, that it just happens. Nothing just happens by itself. It is connected to everything. And the more you learn, you stop focusing on specifics. So, for example, if you take politics today, you know, when people are upset, they focus on one specific thing and they say, you know, defund the police. You know, exactly that is the problem. But if they would spend years really trying to solve it, they would say, no, the police comes from, you know, a society that has these problems. It isn't just the police. You have to fix this and that and that. And the more they learn, the more they step back and say, no, it is it's capitalism. It generates these problems. And the police is the outcome of a system trying to hold itself together in capitalism. So this is what we learn from Jacque, to see the connections in things. So whenever anybody focuses, remember the tire. They're inside of the tire trying to understand what's going on. They can't. They're inside of it. They don't understand the ups and downs of it.
I do think some people do understand the big picture, and they're actively trying to get you to focus on those details. Because the example you use is a political concept in the United States used called a trigger issue.
Yeah.
It could be abortion, for instance, or praying in school. Something that will fire people up and divide them into two camps, for and against. That's exactly what you want to do, and that's a deliberate strategy.
Yeah.
It's done. so that you're focusing on that instead of the other things that you politically actually want to get created or done, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but there are people that do understand. Maybe not to the extent that I think Jacque did, because he invested so many years in looking at all these different variables, but a lot of it, right?
Yeah.
And they try to affect it and win the game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the, they use it for something else. They're still playing the game. So what we're interested in, when I see, somebody sends me a lecture, I say, how narrowly are they focusing? I want to see, do they have room to say, this is what I found out up till now? Do they have that attitude, or do they say, if you just fix this, then society is going to be fixed? So that's what I'm looking for when somebody sends me a lecture or something. How broad, how is this person still searching?
Two people approached me on the street a couple of weeks back, wanting me to give them some money every month for children in Africa or something. Actually, they were very interested when I said, what you're doing is not really going to change anything. Because you're just giving, a headache pill to a cancer patient. What really do you hope is going to happen here? Yes, sure, you can make the life better for a few children, very few, but you're not solving the problem. And well, of course, now I challenged them, and I kind of picked that up from some of these videos, because one thing that's fun about watching Jacque's videos is he's quite challenging. He challenges people around him by the way he expresses himself. So I just told him, just like that, this isn't you're not helping anyone. And of course, then they want to know, well, why are you saying that? Why? Explain to us. And so I did. And I gave them quite a bit of information and suggested that they do a search on the Venus Project, for instance. So I take all those little snipes that I can get to direct people that way, in the hopes that maybe a few will be willing to invest some time into actually understanding more.
Can I jump in?
Sure.
Can you give us in a nutshell the things you explain to them in order for them to became more interested?
Yeah, basically my approach was first to challenge them, to almost make them feel a bit insulted, and then explain openly and honestly, straightforward, just the things that are flawed with our system, right, that we have today, our socioeconomic system. And I don't go into, like you said, the payment, I don't get into the details, right? Because then you get stuck talking about those. So I just said basically that the socioeconomic system that we have today in Europe, in Sweden, and the United States, it's pretty much the same. And it simply will not work. It is not compatible with any global climate change efforts or desires. It is absolutely not compatible with bringing the entire world up to a much higher living standard. We will always have these differences unless we have a different socioeconomic model. And of course, then their first reaction is, oh, he's a communist. So the next step, of course, is to dispel that belief and, simply explain there's a different way that we can approach this by utilizing science, applying science to social concerns, and building a model. And I refrain from telling them what that is. I just tell them we need to discuss the root of the problem, which is the socioeconomic system, and arrive at a much better one. Some people have worked on that for years and years. They've come up with this idea called a RBE, resource-based economy. If you want to know more about that, go look for this. Then I'm not sounding like a Jehovah's Witness or something, right? I am not sounding like I'm pushing an agenda, because I don't want to. Like Payman was saying, you kind of have to, they have to be willing to invest the time and learn and understand. If you're the kind of person who wants to dig and figure out things, you'll probably find those links helpful. What you search for will be helpful to you, and you'll want to learn more, because you put people on the track. But there's an old American saying: you can lead the horses to the water, but you can't make them drink. So all I can do is lead people to where the water is, and if they want to drink, they'll have to drink, right?
Thank you.
This is, it's such a difficult thing. Imagine if you had kids are starving in front of you. Should I, just to be super vicious, if the kids are starving in front of you, but I have, let's say my schedule is fully booked. I'm holding the Venus Project lectures every hour, 12 hours a day. Now, if I feel that this goal, if I really understand that goal, and I say, if I solve that problem to promote this, then this won't happen in front of me anymore. Then I have to step over it. If I'm that booked, I have to prioritize in that moment. Do I do this or do I feed them? They're just here in front of me. Then it becomes very difficult. And it is then if you're really clear on what you're going for, then you will step over them, because you're going for the big goal. I wouldn't do that today because my schedule isn't that booked. But if it was, I have to do that because you're going for the big goal. But that is so, then you have to be really clear what you're going for. I just wanted to mention one thing. What we're interested in, if I would, somebody would say, what is important? You're not feeding kids, is cancer okay? All of these things in today's society, they don't have a goal. Where is all of this going? If you solve cancer, if you have less children that die at birth, all of these things for themselves are, let's say, good. But what is the goal with saving children? What is the next step? Are these people going to become more capitalistic when they grow up? Are they going to go to war? Where are they going? In today's society, just like we talked about the tire, we just focus on one particular thing. For example, in Sweden, there is something called like Cancer for Children. And I'm like, what about their parents? What about other people? How can you focus on specifically children? What if their parent has cancer? What is the goal?
I'll tell you the reason. Because children makes us feel bad. You want to, well, I mean the opposite actually, but you know what I mean. It's easier to make you feel bad about showing you a suffering child.
Yeah.
It doesn't solve the problem. But I mean, it's an emotional decision when you're faced with it. And I have bought food for beggars. I paid for a tent to go to Syria for the UNHCR to help to let them, have a roof over their head. But so sometimes you do that, but it's to make me feel good, right? Maybe it will help a few people that I will never see. But in the grand scheme of things, it does nothing. But it helps a few people, and it helps me feel good at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, there, sorry, there is there are a lot of incentives because, for example, paraphrasing a bit what Daniel Schmachtenberger says about a similar topic of this one, is that a lot of us or a lot of people have a lot of interests that are like pushing the person in order to do, let's say in quotes, good things. So for example, one guy is interested in helping children to, I don't know, to eat healthier food or etc. So he has one interest, which is seeing kids eating healthier food, but also there is an interest in being recognized because of the work he's doing in the community. So he has like this need for approval, and also chicks can see him, so he can talk with more girls, etc. And also maybe, you know, there are many reasons. So um, so yeah, so when sometimes when one points the fact that this is a bigger problem, and if you really want to solve it, you have to look in a more global way. Sometimes they become annoyed because there are some like a ill or insane kind of incentives. So yeah, and of course I'm talking also about myself. And one thing that Jacque says is like you want to change the world, but you don't want to like change your views about, let's say, family or about your country or about your religion. So how could you be a good member in order to do this if you cannot change your values, which some of them are wrong, or a lot of them. So yeah, I don't know. I got.
Even Matteo, the concept of wrong is something that I heard challenged in some of Jacques' lectures, because wrong is always relative to something, an outcome or a goal that you have, right? Because it does not achieve that, whatever it is you want to achieve. So he talked to, I think it was in the context of bringing up children, right? But I find a good way to actually get a conversation started is to do that challenging thing. You know, when people start talking about your country, you say, I think countries are bad. You know, I don't believe in countries. There shouldn't be any countries. Then all of a sudden you're challenging them and they go, what? What do you mean? You know, are you stupid? And that usually gets the conversation rolling, right? And then you can always tell them some things and be very careful to not fall into the detail trap. Because if you see, and it just simply comes down to debating technique, right? Because none of us knows enough about all of the topics. You know, you might be able to talk about programming, right? Python coding, okay. You'll win the argument on Python, right? But what about all the other stuff? So it's dangerous to go down there. So you have to, if you're facing someone like, say, Stéphane Moreau in Canada, he is an excellent debater. He will shred anyone. He's very good at that. And if you want to meet a person like that, you have to make sure that you stick to what you know, and just don't fall into the trap. You know.
I want to say something about the starving kids topic. That when you are feeding two kids, you are letting thousands starve to death in the same time. So fixing the big problem is a lot more crucial, and maybe it will take more time, and it's not an easy fix that everybody likes, but
Actually, Golan, that's a really good point, but purely morally speaking, right? Because if somebody is asking you to help, you know, to X number of kids that are starving someplace, and if you ask, are you going to help all of them? Well, no, we can't help all of them. So why should I help you not help the others? You know,
now
you know what I mean?
you can help everyone. And the Venus Project even tell you how to do it.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah.
Because on the ground.
I have this attitude when I help people. I I usually don't, but if I see, I had one, there was a beggar that was outside a store many times, and I don't look at them, but this particular person, she was behind me, and I bought her, she just wanted to buy a few things. I took them and I paid for them. But then I have this attitude. I run because I don't want the thank you. I don't want the feeling good. And the other days I went there, I don't look at her and pretend to now I care for you, because I don't. I if I'm gonna do something, I run from the thank you, because I don't want to get involved in that emotional feeling of, oh, I'm a good person, or somebody else taps me on the back and says, that's what a nice person does. I just
When you are helping someone, you're doing it for you.
yes.
For you, you're doing it for him or
Yeah.
her.
I do it first for myself, because I feel it's very dangerous to do things for other people and say, look what I did for you. I don't like that. That I feel that is a good way of getting sick in today's society. If you're going to do something for somebody and they throw a bag of shit at you, you still say, I wanted to do that. It's okay. Throw it. It's okay.
But I think what you're trying to say, Payman, is that you want to do it because it's what you believe is the right thing for you to do.
At that time, yeah.
You don't want to do it for the reasons of vanity, right? Because 90% of the people out there, 9 out of 10 that help someone, they do it for reasons of vanity. When it's someone you don't know, right? You want to tell yourself you're a good person, or you want to show somebody else that you're a good person, rather than just truly believing that you want to help that person. That's not as common. So I think I agree completely with that. And for those of you who don't haven't been to Sweden, we had for a couple of years here, like 5 or so, I think it was. Yeah, about 5 years. We've had a lot of people coming begging from other people parts of Europe. So outside of every single store, there's been a beggar for the past 5 years. Well, not the last 2 years, but you know. And people really didn't know how to handle this because we hadn't experienced that in Sweden before. So it was a big discussion in all of the media. What should you do? Should you enable the system by helping them so that these people that are actually in control of what they're doing, that paid for them to get there, should earn money, or should he help them because they wouldn't choose to do that, and so on. So there was a huge discussion, very well publicized here, on what should we do about it, because we really had no idea what to do. We'd never been faced with that problem before. We had no experience with beggars in Sweden before 2012 or whenever that was. Whereas I think if you're in India, you've seen tons of beggars. It's part of your daily life. It's nothing strange.
you can see how other countries deal with this problem, because it's not only in Sweden or something that problem. And so other countries fixed this problem in sorts of ways.
Yeah, there are many ways to fix the problem, I think, short term, even within this particular socioeconomic system that we have. Yeah, it was challenging. I mean, particularly if you weren't used to seeing it so much before.
Okay, guys, we've reached 2 hours. I think we can wrap it up for today. And see you guys in 2 weeks. I'm gonna post a new video and we can watch it, and hopefully we discuss something then.
Okay, and let's see if we can find something I can help out with.
Yes.
Pejman?
Thank you. Yeah.
If you have some presentations you done before, but you haven't recorded them, maybe we can do it once again someday.
Oh, do you want me to hold a presentation? Is that what you mean?
No, I'm asking if you had some presentation, but we haven't recorded them, so we could rewatch later. Maybe we could try. You could try to like present them again.
Okay. Do you mean like before this, for this session, that look at that video and then we talk about that?
Yeah, remember Dr. Manhattan and human nature, this kind of information.
Okay, okay. You know, I have difficulties getting people to watch Jacque Fresco, but I see that you're a believer that people will enjoy watching my videos. So, okay, let's try that.
You don't want the believer, remember?
Yeah, exactly. He's probably knowledgeable about this. Okay, we're gonna try that, Alex. See if people are gonna watch that. Okay. All right. See you in 2 weeks, guys.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.